Chris Cuomo here. Thank you so much for giving us a chance at NewsNation to expose the game. Wow, is it in full effect after this election? Now here, we have the opportunity to say what you're not going to hear, okay? First, we start on what we both know to be true. Right now, our energy and effort is best spent on what happens now and next, right? We should be focusing exclusively on what's going to be done now to deal with the problems that we all know we have, okay? And I'm not talking about staffing, 74 days to staff up. Who cares? They're going to staff up. We'll judge who they pick, right? And all this gossip about what did Biden say? What did Harris say to Biden and then say to Trump? And then who cares? Who cares? Okay? It's just lazy, right? What is the first policy move? How does it need to happen? And what are the sides saying about it? That's NewsNation. But that's not what the insiders want. It's too hard, right? So here's the state of play instead. On one side, you have the victors. Former President and now future President Trump has the victory and is having others figure out how to staff and get the government going. He's not that interested in that. Just ask Bill O'Reilly. Politically, though, he's making a call, and it is the easy call. And I'm somewhat impressed that he's making it, which is, shh. Let the Democrats stew in their own juices, because the more they stay stuck in what happened, the more time he has without them being an equal adversary. Now, I wish he wouldn't. I wish he would be talking to you right now on this show tonight about what he wants to do and how he's going to get it on board and why it's the right thing for Congress to go along with, whether or not he controls the House with his party. But I get the political play. So instead of what we should be doing, you're being bathed in the autopsy. Such desperation in the media and on the left to explain and blame instead of just capitulating, giving your head over to the obvious. We all see what happened. Let's do the Q&A quickly, okay? Did it matter to some voters that Kamala Harris is a black woman? I think yes. Was it a negative or a positive? I think both. And I will stipulate that it may well have been a negative for more voters than a positive. So is that why she lost? Sexism, racism? I don't see it. A role? Okay. But we know it wasn't what was everything. We know it wasn't what they're making it. Why? Because black voters were turned off on Democrats too. Only 68% of the vote to Harris in New York City? Not since 1988 and Dukakis, a Greek, did we see that number. Latinos turned off. Every demo was turned off. The only increase Democrats can boast is with the LGBTQ plus community. And they deserve support and representation. But there's an argument that that increase came at a cost because the Democrats grossly underperformed with the demos they needed. And no, Trump didn't grow a new base. Is there even such thing as a bro vote? I mean, maybe. But the issue of men and why they're voting and not for Democrats is a deep dive. And we're going to do it, but not tonight. But trust, podcasters didn't deliver Trump a victory. You did. Here's the truth. Biden got 3 million more votes than Harris. Biden got 3 million more votes. Trump got more black and Latinos and even held with women, even young ones, even after taking a right from them. Why? Because voters like you are more interested in your reality, your pocket and your safety. You're more interested in that than about Trump's profound failings as a human and the imagined insistence that he is the next Hitler. Period. And if you need more proof, look around the globe. We're seeing similar movements all over. The struggle is real. There is no need for boogeymen. Trump doesn't have to be the next Hitler. Democracy does not have to be in dire desperation for you to get elected. The Democrats have a chance to learn and move on. And I want you to see the good news, regardless of who you voted for. See, this is what people are missing. There is good news in this election. One, it's over, and there was no drama. Now, of course, let's be fair. Trump was the concern. about causing drama. And bravo on Democrats for walking the talk and accepting the outcome. They didn't have to. They didn't think they were going to get their asses whooped like this. But they've accepted it. And let's hope that acceptance holds with the outcomes of the House races, assuming they're fair. Next, we proved something with this election that I've postulated for a while here at NewsNation. Social media is not reality. We are not as divided as the parties want us to feel. Voters of all kinds spoke. Prices, practicality is what matters most. We share more than what is used to divide us. That's good. More good news. The Democrats, even if they take the House, and the chances of that are in the show tonight, they have been gifted a chance to change. Will they listen to the voters and forget their fringe? This election shows something that I know this isn't going to go over well, okay? But you got to believe I'm coming from a good place when I tell you what I'm about to tell you, because it's true. The Democrats need to focus less on who is woke and more on who is broke. You got to focus less on who is woke and more on who is broke. And by the way, you can do both, and you should. But you can fight for the little guy in all areas, not just identity. And you do not have to be fixated on putting the needs of the few on what must be accepted by the many. You don't have to do it that way. It's not what the law requires. I don't think it is what anything requires. More people in this country need help from the government for their safety and financial security than for their parenting or their identity. And here's the best news. NewsNation is built different, okay? It is built to cater to critical thinking independence. All are welcome, of course. Of course, I can't be choosy. We're trying to grow here. But I don't back your team, okay? Because parties and how they pervert our process is the root of the problem. Now, guess what was the largest voting bloc in many places and was at least tied for first? Independents. First time ever. There were more of us than Democrats, and absolutely as much and as many as there were Trumpers. No majority, not yet, but more independents voted than self-described Democrats, and just as many as Republicans. Now, there's a story in that story, right? You had more people identify as Republicans and vote than Democrats. Why? Because there's a Democratic registration advantage. Okay, so reconcile. The reconcile is a lot of Democrats left and turned to independent, more than on the right. Not a majority, but a plurality now. We're getting there. And I know you're not hearing this from other outlets because, and certainly you're not hearing it online, because they're all playing to one side and to the division. Here we expose that game. So I'm going to split the show tonight. Half on so what, meaning why this election went the way it did, and half on now what, right? What both sides should be doing to make things better or worse, depending on how you look at it, okay? So Trump won all the swing states. You can't always buy an election. Sometimes you can, but not against a movement. All right? Harris outspent him by almost like $500 million. Okay? Now, they're going to start pointing fingers instead of, you know the old expression, right? Every time you do this, you got four pointing back at you. They're not ready for that. Senator Bernie Sanders, as I reported here, said, hey, you're more about the elites and the special interests than the working man and woman. At first, it was just the white ones. Now it's the black and the Latino ones also. Now, there are Democrats who don't want to hear that, okay? They don't like blaming themselves, especially when they're part of the ones who made the decisions. So DNC Chair Jamie Harrison fires back. This is straight up BS. Harris's plans would have fundamentally transformed the quality of life and closed the racial wealth gap for people working people across this country. There are a lot of post-election takes, and this one ain't a good one. Is he right or is he wrong?